Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another day of the Kart Rider Drift League. We're live with the preseason number 1. Now on to day 3. We started over the weekend, and we're continuing on for some more team matches today. My name is William, joined by Peter, and you actually got to kick off the weekend here for KDL Preseason. How's it been?
It was such a pleasure to be able to share the experiences of diving into, what are the top gameplay of Kart Rider Drift looking like. And definitely we've seen that players have had enough time for sure adjusting to the drift, and I'm so excited to see even more.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, right? A lot of these players, they've played Kart Rider in other universes and those other titles that we've had, and they're now all coming together. But here's an overview of what we have. Again, this is just kind of the preseason, the regular season for KDL planned for later this year, and we're kind of doing this just to get a taste of who the top players are, what the teams might look like, and how they're going through it. We have 8 teams here for the team matches, and of course, this is all info just for the team match. Solo matches are, they have their own separate roster and prize pool as well.
Absolutely, and of course, the 4 top teams will be able to move on to the postseason, where they will be able to fight against each other for the grand prize money of 40 million won to the winner.
Oh, I'm glad you can actually read off the numbers in the won, because I'm always like trying to do the conversion in my head to USD, and then I get really confused. But thank you for
feel you.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Of course, we have the standings so far. We already kicked off the team matches over the weekend, where we've seen every team play at least once. So everyone either has 1 win, 1 loss. But again, this is round robin for the team matches. So as the days go by, we're going to start to figure out who really is going to make it to that tournament format of the postseason.
For sure. I mean, because it's only been a couple rounds so far, a lot of teams are sitting very close right now in the rankings. A little bit of a difference in the round wins can absolutely determine your rankings. But of course, as we get more matches, the data won't be as sensitive to such little results.
Absolutely. And while over the weekend we did have 2 team matches followed by solo matches, today we will only have 3 team matches. Again, this is partly also because we just have to go through so many of these with the round robin format. But the solo matches will return over the weekend. Today we get to see 6 out of the 8 teams face off.
And these teams are definitely no strangers to us by now. Sensation, they have a star-studded lineup going against Aura, who had such a great showing last time in the item mode. They had such fantastic comebacks, followed by Match5, Planet versus FINALEe-sports. Both teams did struggle, so hopefully today they'll be able to show better performance. And moving on to Match 7 will be our final 2 teams of the day between Reboot and Rocks.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, especially for that match too, right? Both teams kind of needing that first win. One of them will get away with it, but of course, that will have to wait. Our first matchup awaits us, and as you mentioned it, if you've followed Kart Rider in any way, shape, or form, surely you're familiar with the lineup here on Sensation, led by none other than the old Emperor of Kart Rider, Hojin. And I say old Emperor because some people are saying maybe his dynasty truly has ended. He didn't get past the first round of 32 in his solo match last week, so now he just has all the time in the world to focus on the team matches.
I mean, you can definitely say that again. Right now, this man definitely has all his focus on the team matches, so I'm sure that he will be wanting to win these matches. You can see his teammates, Speed, Guard, and Percent, all such reliable teammates, and they have done fantastic so far.
Yeah, again, I mean, this is a team where you look at it individually, and there's no doubt any of these players can make a high finish in whatever environment they're put in, but can they bring that into a teamwork setting as they go through these team matches? We'll have to wait to see if they get their first win today as they go up against none other than Aura.
Speaking of teamwork, William, it's definitely Aura, the team that we are looking for. They had such a nice communication skill in the team matches for the item mode, and definitely even in the speed mode, they did prove themselves to be formidable. So I have quite a lot of expectations on these players, especially Navi, amateur player that they picked up, but he was known for being good, followed by Nock and Hero, and their just lineup is so good.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing Aura going with kind of the typical 5-man roster we often see, where you have a separate item ace that will be subbed in for those item matches. Whereas Sensation, they just have the core 4, right? It's just these 4 players that will be playing every single match, both in speed and item mode. So they have a lot to practice in that realm, right? Where they're just going to have to make sure their teamwork is perfect in both realms, and just looking at their speed average rank so far as well. And this is something I wanted to point out. I'm glad we have these stats. Is it's all kind of middle of the pack so far, which means they weren't really able to have anyone really carry them through the speed matches so far.
For sure, but you can see their confidence has not been knocked off because their message to Aura is that there will be no upset.
Yeah, they say that, but you know, some fans might be thinking the upset might be Sensation winning, right? I mean, some people are saying like, Hojin, are you truly like done with Cartwright? Can you live up to that name anymore? I feel terrible seeing that because he's such a legend, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, for all I know, there's 0 wins in Cartwright Drift, right? So,
Yep.
So they're hungry for that first win ever in their KDL career.
For sure. I mean, Hojin definitely wants to be picking up some more positive notes for his history, whereas Aura, you know, they're talking about speed match, knock down all your opponents, item match, attack on the last week.
Oh, I like it. These actually kind of do work in English. We were looking at this graphic during the rehearsal. But yeah, it does work a little bit with the nicknames on both teams. They're having a little play on words. And of course, I mean, obviously they got the win, so it's no surprise that their average finishes are quite high. But if you have 3 players averaging, you know, 2nd and 3rd place, that means you're always going to be able to fight for one of those combinations in a team match speed mode to get those W's.
And there's the message from Aura right back. We have one of the solo match final 16 players. How about you?
Dang, calling out Sensation, where their players not able to make it through the round of 32.
That's really savage.
That is really savage. Wow, just calling them out. It's only been like 3 days. Give them a break. Let them heal a little bit.
I mean, clearly 3 days, that's all they have to heal up. So hopefully they have done just that. As we take a look at some of the speed track lists, and we can take a look at the bands coming out. World Tour Boostwood, Bayside Bridge Run, Extreme Stadium, New York Rally are not going to be able to be played.
Yeah, and we're going to kick things off on Mine Gold Rush. Now, if you're playing Cartwright Drift, that's a track that you'll get familiar with very quickly as you go through the licenses just to unlock everything as well. And then we'll go through now. Something interesting to me is Sensation actually picking up some really difficult tracks, right, where there's going to be these hard sections where there's so much collision potential. And they actually banned out Construction Chaos last week against Live Sandbox, and they're bringing it as their first pick here for round 2 in this speed mode. So curious what the thought process is behind there. Obviously, both teams have had a couple days to get in some extra practice and scrims.
I have seen Percent actually mention that Desert Construction Chaos is the track that he is most comfortable in his own skill in. So I assume that has a little bit into the reason why they decided to pick it up this time around rather than banning it.
And of course, we have a lot of fans in the arena once again today. Every match day, tickets are going on sale one by one as we go through the preseason here. And even on a Wednesday, we have someone coming up from Jeonju, which is quite a ways away from Seoul as well, where our studio is located.
For sure, came a long, long journey to cheer on their favorite player, Moon Hojin, and I'm sure that Moon Hojin will be wanting to treat her right back with some good performance today.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting ready for track number 1 in our speed mode match between these 2 teams. It's Mine Gold Rush. And they're off. Aura picking up Mine Gold Rush as the first track, trying to put in some dominance now. In the beginning, of course, the track is fairly wide, but with the downhill, once we go into lap 2, that's where we'll want to pay attention to if anyone can overtake each other in this section.
Yep, there's only 2 laps, so things are looking very dicey right now. Sensation has Hojin in the lead, and of course they're sitting on a 1-4-5-6 format, but they do need to put more players ahead because Aura with the 2-3-4 is feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and Hojin, while he does have that first place, I mean, everyone's still bunched up just close enough that when those drafts come into play, if you combo with another drift and a boost, you can easily overtake each other. And right now, he has no backup. He's all on his own. He has to have Percent come up to help him knock some of these people out so they can get a little bit slowed down, gain a little bit more distance ahead of the pack.
Percent, definitely a player that we expect to see at the front of the pack, so he was trying all he can, but, you know, C's and Navi, they've been so consistent so far, holding that top 4 position. As we move now into lap number 2, Aura leading out by 9 points over Sensation.
Percent wants to get ahead so bad, but we see Navi, he's already blocked him 2-3 times in a row. Percent, this is the chance for him to overtake at least Navi, because otherwise, Hojin, he's already lost that first place. Now he has to deal with C's overtaking him as well. It's a 2v1, but Hojin, the legend, still takes the inline course, and he gets first place right back. It's still a bit of a rivalry battle up front.
Hojin definitely staying really focused. He wants to make sure that he doesn't give up that lead because that is what Sensation needs. Sensation actually now taking over the lead, leading up by 1 point over Aura. This is going to be a close one.
Okay, at this point, either Hojin needs to shoot forward to first place, or they need to keep this 2-3-4 lineup. Only 500 meters left on this last downhill section. Hojin doesn't look like he can get that first place.
Aura, they lead out with Hero coming in at first place, 5 points in the lead. What a strong showing from Aura.
Aura holding strong, and a lot of this comes from, you know, the first downhill section. Aura actually gets 3 of their members in the front of the pack, and they're all crowding around Hojin. Percent can't even get close to try to help his teammate out. Again, this is that teamwork we talked about, right? I mean, Hojin and Percent, they're both great players, but if Aura says, hey, I'll block for you, you just stay ahead, just keep your course, don't need to fight against Hojin either, it's going to be a tough battle for Sensation.
And we got actually a nice color coding. It goes blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. So every single member of Aura literally outperformed the members of Sensation this time.
Oh, when you put it like that, that's pretty brutal, right? It's like, oh, like even in these 1v1 comparisons, you all lost. No wonder you lost the team battle. But I mean, it's not over yet. Of course, team battles where they're made up of a speed mode and an item mode, potentially leading to an ace match. Each of the first 2 modes, a best of 5. And of course, we got to remember the Gold Mine Rush. That was Aura's pick, right? So now we're going to wait to go into Construction Chaos, where Peter, you mentioned earlier, Percent has talked about how he likes this track.
For sure. I mean, Percent is definitely a player that we do expect to see him step up and coming through for the team Sensation this time around. And ladies and gentlemen, we are ready now with our next track, Desert Construction Chaos. Here we go into round number 2 between the team Sensation and Aura. Right now, C's in the lead and Speed is also trying to take over.
Yeah, and Hojin, some great sync drifting also to just keep the 2 members of Aura at bay way in the back. Hero and Navi have been knocked all the way back, so now it's just C's and Knock up front. And Hojin this time actually playing back up 4%. He's just trying to keep Knock at bay, and at the very end, he can also try to help overtake C's if they need to get a 1-2 finish.
Percent definitely showing why this was one of his favorite tracks. Strong in the lead, contesting that top 3 consistently. You can see he is speeding up ahead of the 2 members of Aura, and this does put them at 3-point lead ahead.
Yeah, now entering the difficult section here, a lot of snaking back and forth, some hairpins, and a lot of these 90-degree drifts that you'll have to make constantly. The battle for the inline course is fierce in the front, but right now everyone's still bunched up that, yeah, right here, the collisions can keep the team at bay, and this allows Percent and Hojin to take 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, Percent and Hojin definitely not affected at all by the blocking fiasco that's been happening back there. Now Sensation leading out 9 points ahead of Aura. This is a really good way to start off their first lap.
All right, C's is trying to get close enough so he can get a draft to move forward, and he's actually going to be able to get a little bit. He's still in range to overtake at any point with another draft, and here he goes with the team boost. He's trying to Percent perfectly lining up to block the overtaking from C's.
And Hero coming in now as well to try to recover some of that lead for his team, but unfortunately they are going to crash into the wall a little bit, whereas Hojin and Percent looking phenomenal, just untouchable.
Yeah, there's still a good chance here for Aura, but they're gonna have to make sure it's clean. So right now, Hero doing everything he can to block off the rest so that C's can overtake and potentially get into first. That's the only hope they have at this point if they want any option here to win this round 2.
Unfortunately, there's Knock and Navi all the way at the back. Aura, but however, they managed to recover somehow.
C's tries to overtake on the inline course, but he's gonna hit the corner. So at this point, his duty is just to keep guard at bay while his teammate is able to come back
500 meters.
Yeah, if Hero sees, oh no, C's gets knocked back as well, and it looks like it's just going to be Sensation taking
really close.
this. And they will finish it at a 22-17 score line. Again, a lot of this comes from the fact that entering that first difficult section, we expected the collisions to happen, but Hojin and Percent actually shoot forward, so at least one of them was always going to be safe.
Absolutely, the 2 key MVP players for Sensation in this round. Number 2, the consistency in which the driving abilities were shown was just such at a next level that Aura was unable to catch up. However, just before that lap 2 finished, Aura was actually behind or leading by 1 point, so it was absolutely just almost so close.
Yeah, I mean, if we were at a point where if Sensation didn't get 1-2 initially, it could have looked very dangerous, but eventually even the middle of the pack kind of irons itself out, and now we are tied 1-1, waiting to go to round 3 as we look at, yeah, this is on that first lap, right? I mean, just the blocking coming in from Speed to keep everyone at bay, and then Aura, they were actually trying to work around Speed, and they actually bumped into the walls as well. Oh, right at the end, Percent. I was wondering where he went. You know, tries to go for the little block there, gets left behind on his own, but that also helps his team move forward, right? So just trying to really guarantee that they're able to get the point rally. Again, you don't have to get all first, second, third place. You just have to get enough points.
Right, you can say that again for sure. I love the teamwork coming out of Sensation this time around. And now we're going to see if they can continue that on in Mine Rickety Rails.
Kicking off track 3, we are tied 1-1 in this speed round between Sensation and Aura. Aura just trying to keep the front of the pack to their control. Even though Percent's at first place, they have more members right now to try to win these body checks.
Right, the bodies, they're definitely colliding into each other all over. But you look at Aura, they're looking so good right now on that 1-3-4-5. Absolutely dominating performance so far on this lap number 1.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if Hero can just keep Hojin at bay at 5th and 6th place, the front of the pack, Percent, he can try to get to first, but it's still not going to be enough because 2, 3, 4, 5 all in favor of Aura. Now Hojin looks like right behind them. He's starting to overtake them, but here's the thing, is the front of the pack is so far ahead, we're starting to lose the later half of the members on the minimap, so Percent all alone with 0 backup.
Absolutely, it's a 3v1 looking very unfortunate, but a member of Aura actually got knocked back. This could be a little bit of a breathing room for Sensation to now come in for that 3, 4, 5, 7 position.
Yeah, you called it. Just that one mishap hitting the wall there has actually given the middle of the pack over to Sensation, so Percent can actually shoot forward. He will be able to help put his team right close to it. Navi, look at that, using his cart. Yeah, I mean, picking up that solid pro body just to be able to fight a little bit more of these physical battles.
This is the final lap, and Sensation is following right behind Aura, only 1 point behind, so this could be anyone's match.
Hojin takes the outer line to actually get bumped onto the track right ahead.
Wow.
And now Percent has overtaken C's as well. C's not able to keep that first place without support. Only 500 meters left, and now Sensation already ahead in the points. Percent just keeping that first place. This should solidify another win. C's trying to keep the other members of Sensation at bay so they can get 2, 3, 4, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, Sensation, what a comeback from them. This match was really close at all points pretty much, but the one moment when a member of Aura got knocked back by the course, that was the window of opportunity Sensation needed, and they absolutely took it.
Yeah, and I like the attempt from C's, right? It's whoever it was over on Aura making the call that, hey, we're not going to win if we go this way anyway. Our only hope is to actually leave Percent be, let him get first place, knock everyone else on Sensation backwards. So he tries to hit the wall and bump everyone a spot back, but it's not enough. He actually doesn't get a single collision, and Sensation will cleanly take track 3.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like that attempt for sure. You know, it's important to realize sometimes, you know, you can't win the match anymore unless you go to the most extremes of the plays. It didn't work out this time, but definitely when you have the courage to pull off such moves in really harsh times, I feel like we can expect a lot more from this team in Aura.
Well, we're going over to track 4. This could be round point here as we have Sensation leading 2-1. It's going to be their pick, of course, Zigzag Timberland.
Now we begin our race to round number 4.
And this one's another track where even in the difficult sections, the hairpins towards the end, it's actually fairly narrow. So everyone's going to be bunched up and there's going to be a lot of potential for collisions. So if one team is actually able to keep the lead, just like right now where Sensation is doing, they might actually just finish the race as is.
It's definitely a tricky map to work around. You don't have a lot of time to be drifting. You need to go for the short and full drifts simultaneously, as we see Sensation doing that beautifully so far. But Aura is not too far behind. They're holding that 2-4-5-7 position.
Yeah, and Nock, if he can just stay close to speed and percent, right? Just don't let them get away scot-free, then he'll always have a chance to make something happen, as the rest of his team has already caught up, and now we're about to start to enter the more difficult area in the second half of this track. We'll see if anyone's actually able to overtake each other. We've seen some crazy inline courses in the first weekend.
This is where the name of the map really comes into play. It's just zigzag all over. You have to make sure that your drifts are on point, and so far, Aura is looking really good. They are above 9 points above Sensation.
Yeah, Speed was actually a little too aware of trying to block the members of Aura from overtaking him in line, and he actually drifts close to the wall where eventually he'll lose too much speed. And now Aura has caught up all along percent. He's not alone though. Guard catches up quickly, and now it's a 2v2 battle up front.
This is looking so intense and so close right now. Nock trying to block Percent out. However, Percent does make it across, as well as Guard. This is putting a lot of good lead right now for Sensation.
Yeah, but if they stick to this route right now, Aura actually might have a better chance, because they might find the draft timing here. They're going to get one. He tries to overtake. If he can get another one towards the end of the hairpins here, he might actually be able to overtake, but he actually has no support. The rest of his teammates have all been blocked off by Speed.
What a crazy performance out of Speed and Hojin, being able to sweep out the remaining members of Aura. It's all Hero right now. However, his team is still behind, so C's, Nock, Navi, they definitely got to do some catch-up while they can.
I mean, right now, Hero, it's not enough to just win. You have to block off the members and make them lose speed so they can catch up on the side of Aura. He's doing what he can, where Nock is caught up a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. He can't even keep first place. He has too much on his plate, and it looks like it might just be a 1-2 finish here for Sensation as they win the speed match 3-1.
Hero, man, he tried to be the hero of that match, but he needed his team to perform as well. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough time to catch up, and Hero, you know, as you said, he can't do both running and blocking at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot on his plate, right? The sweeping, the running, all of it, and he couldn't even just commit to hard collisions. He just had to make them slow down enough, so it's not like you could just really sweep them from the side. Just a lot on his plate. He did what he could, right? Bought enough time for Nock to try to catch up. But at the end of the day, Sensation, they always had all 4 of their members somewhere near the front. It was just a matter of who was actually going to shoot forward into the finish line.
And that is going to be the match that puts Sensation a point ahead of Aura now. They've won this best of 5, so now we will be moving on to the item mode, which is where Aura has shined last time we've seen them perform. So I definitely have a lot of expectations for this team.
Yeah, I'm curious if we'll finally get to go to our first ace match. There were a couple close calls in the first weekend, but none yet. And of course, on the side of Aura, they're bringing in their item ace Tech, who was specifically brought onto this team because of his understanding of the item mode.
Tech, you know, he has a nickname, as we saw earlier, a Tech in Korean, which is definitely a show to his playstyle. He likes to attack his opponent, be that aggressive guy.
Yeah, and we're looking at the bans and picks here. Now, last week's Sensation showing that they didn't have as much experience in the item mode, even in their picks, right? Just going for the more basic, very wide open item tracks. And it looks like they want to start things off the same way, going with World Tour Gangnam Streets. But then we'll see a little bit more of a change with Aura picking up Desert Pharaoh's Pass.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of variations here, of course. The Factory Cogwheel Crush, as well as World Tour Istanbul Sunset Plaza that's been banned out from Sensation, are definitely maps that we have seen time and time again. They're the newer maps, and it's really hard to play around them.
And we've got fans even skipping some school to come watch. Of course, it is a weekday. And so we'll see how that goes for them. Some fans of Nock as well. We even see a couple in the back there just trying to sneak it into the camera shot. But it's great to see again. I mean, Kart Rider has been around as an esport for so long. Actually, the longest running league here in Korea. So great to see the fans continue to support the players.
The players will definitely be appreciating that support as we move on to the first round of the speed item mode. It's going to be World Tour Gangnam Streets.
And we're off with item mode. Of course, a couple players going with some card body changes as well. On the side of Sensation, they actually just prefer to keep the same cards through and through. Partly, I assume, because they're not as used to item mode, so they're just trying to keep to the same handling that they're used to.
I love seeing variety in cards. It's definitely making me happy. We see a Water Whisk coming out, going to setback players, but this is the first lap out of 3. Players have a lot of time in this track to utilize, to find their ideal set of items.
Yeah, and we're already seeing there are a couple sections, despite how wide the road can be here, there are a couple sections where the water balloons will actually do quite a bit of damage, so that could come into play near the last lap. But right now, we're already seeing a couple magnets now being held onto. Hojin has one. He's in first place, but he doesn't mind getting pushed back. He's just going to hold on to that magnet to try to overtake in the last seconds.
Speaking of magnet, it is the magnet meta right now, proving to be such a powerful item. So we see Sensation members and Aura members holding on to whatever they can, but so far there's only 2 Angels on the field, so there will not be too much defensive options.
Yeah, guard with a little bit of spin turn just to dodge that banana while he's maintaining some speed. Love to see that. The barricade just going to be shielded by C. So C's right now, while he's maintaining first place, at a certain point he has to start considering, how do I make sure that either I finish first or my teammate can overtake the others? To do that, he's going to have to play a little bit of aggro, maybe pull a little bit of that magnet, but it's not going to matter. Hojin just blasting forward as he gets missiled.
Hojin definitely looking really strong right now in that standing, but Hero, of course, is coming right back. And now we do see so much more magnets being held by the players moving into lap number 3. So this is going to be the nail-biting match.
Yeah, Hojin's actually in prime position, right? He's got a magnet and then a boost to be able to really slingshot forward near the end if he wants to. Now, do his teammates have an Angel? They do. So Hojin, if he can just stay in the front, but actually he's getting away scot-free. Somehow Sensation's taken all first 4 places, and now, as long as they just time this Angel, they're going to be able to get into the finish line just fine.
Speed has that double nitro going on. He's going to be able to speed off into the finish line if they don't contest him. So they did manage to set him back to 7th place. However, Hojin still in a strong lead for Sensation.
Yeah, Percent has an Angel, but he has no way to be able to draw aggro from some of these items coming out from Aura. So Hojin, he's going to have to use whatever he can.
No.
Trying to use that last magnet. Does he use it? No! It's going to be Tech.
My God!
Finishing first!
It looks so close there with the Water Wisp. I thought Tech might not make it, but he made it just in time. And what a clutch victory once again for Aura. This was a team about clutch comebacks in item mode, and they do it again.
Yeah, I mean, all eyes were on Sensation, but again, on item mode, actually taking all the first spots sometimes not going to be the best, right? Unless you can really try to coordinate yourselves where the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places are actually taking the targeting reticules for all the other items. Eventually, you could have someone slingshot forward, and Tech does just that, proving why he was brought onto this team.
Absolutely. The item specialist definitely making sure that his presence is known when he is playing in these item modes. And now you have to wonder, you know, if you're Sensation, do you feel the blow of that? What was the problem there? Was it teamwork, lack of communication? I hope they figure it out because they haven't been too strong in item mode so far.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you have 4 great racers, and, you know, the ace mode is not something that Sensation's going to be afraid of, but at a certain point, you are going to have to brush up on your item mode if you want some cleaner wins. Now, we do have Aura leading, but they were doing that in the speed mode as well. We'll see if this time they can stay ahead as we go to Desert Arrows Pass.
Here we go. We are starting a race of round number 2.
Yeah, and Aura will see what their item setups are early on. C's just making sure that he can pile on these items. We'll use that UFO right away just to even the playing field a little bit. I think potentially blocking one of the Sensation members from getting the items they want.
I really like this first lap here. This is where, like, the only time of the game where I get to actually see some bananas.
Yeah, and bananas actually, I've heard that a lot of pro players, they're not a fan of it. They are very scared of it because it actually drops a lot closer to you than you think. So if you, unless you're really expecting it, you can get just completely spun out of control. And that's why sometimes we'll see players obviously position themselves to make sure they're not caught off guard by it.
Absolutely, as we see right now, Sensation looking real good, holding a 1, 2, 3, 5. They actually had a 1, 2, 3, 4 for a moment there. As we see players, they are now starting to pick up their magnets and angels.
Yeah, so C's holding on to the double boost. He's going to use one just to refresh and get to Banana. He wants to get rid of that as fast as possible. Try to get something else, but he's going to get missiled out of control.
The missiles are definitely coming in hot for all these teams. Players just going back and forth, trading blows, trying to go for the item they want, moving into the final lap.
Yeah, we've still got a couple Angels on either side. Exactly one so far. Now magnets across the board. Now Guard has double magnets, but if he just stays first, he's not going to find a use for them, and he could get overtaken in the last second. He's going to have to watch out.
Oh, there it is. Guard gets knocked down. So now there is a use for those magnets. So it is going to be interesting to see how Guard will utilize them.
Yeah, Guard already used one. I think it might have been coming out from his teammate, but Guard trying to catch up as Hojin stays up close, but it's a boost across the board right now. So this might just come down to a little bit of a speed mode right at the end, as we're seeing all the boosts used here for the last jump and drift.
Absolutely. There's only 400 meters to the finish line. Nock leading out really strong, but Guard coming in from nowhere sees. He manages to get another win yet for Aura.
Oh my gosh, the magnets, the couple magnets and collisions being used last second to get people dropped off of that jump on the last drift. And that actually allows Aura to move forward. I thought it was going to just be a clean race right to the end, but the last couple seconds, right? And that's what the item mode comes down to, is who's saving which item to the very last second. And all the laps before that, it's really just set up for it, right? Try to save the right ones and be in a position to use them correctly.
Right, those last few seconds were absolutely crucial, and it was C's who came out ahead for his team Aura at that time. So now Aura is ahead by 2 points. So Sensation, their backs are up against the wall. If they lose another round, that does mean we will be moving on to our ace mode.
Yeah, oh, and we do see Percent actually not getting his shield off in time, it looks like. Replay operator really highlighting that one. Oh, man, the magnets being used just to trying to keep them at bay as well so that his teammates can really slingshot forward, but it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that play coming out. Conceptually, it definitely was the right play to go for. However, you know, Sensation, they definitely got to find more windows of opportunity.
Yeah, well, we'll be going into Factory Brody's Gloom to find out if they can. Kicking off the race here on track 3 for item mode between Sensation and Aura. This was Sensation's pick. We'll see if they can finally get a number on the board.
This is going to be a 2-lapper track, and this is definitely one of the maps that I really like seeing. The lights and just every atmosphere here is just so beautifully done.
It is nice. You love to see in Kart Rider all the themes, right? We've got, you know, the factory theme, we've got the forest themes, all that, and they're really digging deep to that. Now, this one also has quite a few obstacles, both in the forms of the robots, the boxes, and whatnot, so we'll see if teams try to utilize that against each other. Now, Tech purposely staying behind to utilize that Wisp to help his teammates out.
That was some big brain play, and I love to see more of those. Of course, we see players now opting to go in, trying to get more items. We're seeing a lot of boosters and magnets across the board here.
Yeah, just using the Angels because we have a couple more in the bag here. Same thing for Sensation. They'll use it in preparation against potential items flying forward. Banana is just going to be nullified by that Angel as well.
Now this is going to be the final second lap, so it is time for the players to get serious because they don't have too much time left to go through the items. We are seeing a lot of magnets and one Angel for Hojin.
Oh, and the water balloon, it was called out, so Hojin's sticking to the wall, but Nock reads right through it. He notices that Hojin's sticking close, and Nock does not get caught off by that. Nock just trying to keep Hojin at bay, allowing his teammates to catch up so they can go for this last-minute overtake.
Right, and we're still seeing a lot of magnets across the board here. Not a lot of boost or Angel, so this is going to be definitely a lot of interesting strats coming out from players trying to disrupt each other.
Yeah, just magnets being used on teammates as well, just to slingshot each other forward so they can catch up. Hero still has a magnet and a boost. He's actually going to get into first place.
Here we go, the last 500 meters. As we see, Hero actually getting set back. Now Speed is leading the race.
An amazing barricade was used. Speed, can he hold on to it? Oh, Tech tries to greet at the last second, but he's going to get denied by the track itself. And Sensation finally putting a number on the board.
Absolutely needed win for Sensation there. Speed pulling through. This was a player that we talked about very often, being one of the most highly regarded players coming into the Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, we'll see if he can prove himself once more. Now, still facing an uphill battle. Obviously, for Sensation, they would like nothing more than to finish off this match in item mode, right? Win 2-0 in the overall team match against Aura, as they had a kind of heartbreaking loss against Live Sandbox last week.
I mean, who wouldn't have a heartbreaking loss against Live Sandbox right now, right?
That is true.
That team is just looking so good.
Yeah, they're pretty stacked, right? With the likes of Neil and Insu just to lead the pack in terms of pure speed, and then the rest of the team as well. We'll see. I mean, I'm waiting to find out who can really hold a candle up against them, but right now, it's between these two teams, Sensation and Aura.
For sure, as we get our next track ready, it is going to be Glacier Polar Halfpipe. Let's get into the match. Here we go. We are starting off our round number 4 between Aura and Sensation.
Yep, Tech just holding back to make sure he can get 2 items. Going to just use that boost right away to cash back up. Hold on to that magnet for later use.
Right, we see a double shield formation for Siege, but of course it's too early for that, so they are just really cycling through the items right now. You can see no one's really holding on to their items except for Tech with that magnet.
Now this is one of those maps where you could easily drop off, right, both on the jump and towards the last, a little U-turn here as well. So curious to see if items come into play near the end, you know, on that third lap to drop each other off the map to secure an easy win.
Well, that would definitely be fun to watch, so I hope I see a lot of those happening today, but so far we see, of course, this is a 3-lapper, so now we'll be moving on into our second lap, which is going to be where players really gotta cycle through those items and get what they need.
Yep, Tech just correctly using his items. He's so good with, oh, and there is a perfect banana against Hojun. So Tech, now that he has a shield, he's just trying to stay ahead. He has a second banana as well. Curious to see where he drops it. Probably aware of trying to keep this against Hojun. Hojun shields it right off the jump.
I'm loving the banana strats, but Hojun definitely had the reaction time there, knew exactly when to press that shield.
And he's just going to get missiled right off, so speed overtakes him. Tech still proving why he was the item ace for his team here. He's not concerned about just darting forward. He's really trying to keep the right arsenal to combat against this enemy team, and he's always making sure he can refresh his items.
For sure. I mean, Tech always staying behind and leading his team on what itemization they need to have. As we do now move on to this third final lap, we are seeing a lot of boosts across the board. Yeah,
and we've got double Angel and Knock as well, so all things considered, Aura, they should be safe for most attacks here in the third lap. It's just a matter if they can dart forward here in the last jumps. Now, oh, a nice knock against Tech, and he flies off the track. He's out of the picture.
Yeah, he's definitely gone right now. We see Hojun and Garth leading the pack for Sensation, but Hero and C's falling right behind. There's only 500 meters left.
Oh, a nice barricade just to try to keep their enemies at bay, but Guard going to get Wisp, and now it's between Hero and C's who can just keep it for his team. Actually, Percent darts forward. The magnet holding C's back, but Knock actually gets through at the end. The lightning coming in as well. I thought that last magnet might have secured it for Sensation, but Aura had a couple more tricks up their sleeve.
2 members of Sensation was ahead up till the last second, and they both all of a sudden went boom, and Aura is coming in with the clutch comeback yet again.
Yeah, just perfect team utility, and this is where, you know, if you find players or even entire teams that are used to item mode, what they keep in mind for the last second, right? They're aware of what does the most damage, what buys us exactly how much time so we can shoot forward into first place. Well, Aura showing that expertise. They get a 3-1 win here in item mode, tying things up 1-1.
I'm really happy for Aura right now because Aura definitely proved themselves to be the team to watch out for when it comes to item mode. You know, last time I was thinking that because all the matches were so close, it could be a little bit like, you know, dicey the next time we see Aura perform, because you can't expect that they will always be the one coming ahead out of those comebacks.
Yeah, and here we see Hojun with the great shield against the banana. This was in that second lap where he was battling against Tech, and Tech actually, he actually got bumped by his teammate, I believe, C's, just moving forward, but at the end, what a perfect missile and the lightning just to keep Sensation at bay.
That's so crazy because we often talk about magnets and angels. It's not usually the lightnings and the missiles, but those 2 items were definitely the winning condition for Aura here, showing their great adaptability.
Okay, so that means we finally go to our first ever ace match here in the Kart Rider Drift League. Curious to see who enters on either side. I mean, you gotta imagine for Sensation, it has to be Hojun, right?
Hojun, definitely the player with the best record. You know, he's untouchable so far in the Kart Rider League. So a lot of fans are definitely excited to potentially see him play.
Yeah, I mean, he's called the Speed Ace for a reason, not only just his reputation, but also as the leader for this team. Now, you know, it could very well be speed, but I would imagine that they're going to give it to the veteran. Now, the track is going to be Village Bayside Bridge Run, a very classic track here for Kart Rider. And I mean, this is really, again, I mean, not only is it 1v1, but this track alone is just pure skill and just what your driving line looks like, right? If you take the optimal course and if you keep that lead, body check a couple times, you should be able to finish in first place.
This is definitely going to be the trickiest match we've had so far because, I mean, it is completely new coming in, and we actually get to see the two players. It is going to be Hojun representing Sensation on the other side. There's going to be Hero for Aura.
Okay, well, you know, Hero and Hojun. Now, I'm curious how this is going to work out, right? Because Hero used to be a player when Hojun ended up coaching as well, so he's kind of an apprentice here for Hojun. See if he can prove himself finally in a 1v1 against his former coach, Hojun. Meanwhile, Hojun still carrying that title as Emperor of Kart Rider. No one's had enough wins yet to take him off that throne.
Hero, he has that win in 2022 Season 1 Individual Championship, and he was the Royal Roader after a long time, so definitely a lot of expectations for Hero as he goes off against Hojun.
All right, it's going to be the ace match between Sensation and Aura. Village Bayside Bridge Run. Here we go. And we're off. The former coach Hojun and the Emperor of Kart Rider going up against the initial Royal Roader and his apprentice Hero over on Aura.
This is looking really close. Both players not really letting each other get a big lead over one another as you see the boost coming in so clean.
Ooh, but Hero actually falling a bit far behind where he's not in range to get any draft in either, so he purely has to catch up with his own optimal driving build here just to get close enough. If he can't get that draft, he's never going to be able to catch up. He's trying to get close here on this section where you see a lot of players using all the cut techniques to build up their boost, and he's getting the draft right at the end.
Hero definitely recovered his position by a lot, taking a lot of these beautiful inner lines, and he's done so fantastically so far, as Hero actually being able to cut ahead of Hojun now finally.
Yeah, Hojun actually trying to wait behind to see if he can overtake on the inner side, but he's actually just saying, okay, I'll go on the outer realm. I still have double boost. I'll be able to stay ahead of you no matter what.
These uses of boosts are absolutely turning the map upside down as we see the second lap coming in. This is going to be the final one. Hero trying to take the lead over Hojun.
Oh, Hojun with an amazing block, just making sure Hero can't get the optimal build. Eventually, they'll have a couple more collisions and Hojun will have to let that go. But he's in prime position to overtake here as we get close to the bridge. He's trying to get that draft where he can, and Hero just cutting as much as possible to deny that possibility. He actually purposely body checks to deny a full draft forward.
Hojun somehow manages to cut forward. He just completely ignores the line that Hero's on, takes the outer lining, and it actually pays off for him because now he is ahead. Hero trying to catch up however he can.
Hojun letting go so he can get that draft. He gets it again. He's trying to deny the final draft from Hero to overtake
500
Hojun.
meters.
Yeah, Hojun just needs to block it, but he's not going to have the optimal line here. Hero just trying to cut inwards. Hojun cuts forward right at the end and forces Hero into the corner. And Hojun takes the win, brings home a W for Sensation.
And you can see the teammates of Hojun looking so happy right there. It was all on Hojun, and you can see he's just taking in his victory right now, talking to his team. That was a great match.
I mean, you can see it even in percent, just saying, wow, right? We can see it in his face. Giving credit, Hojun, you're still that guy who can bring home these clutch wins. And I mean, it was neck and neck. I mean, all credit to Hero. He was doing what he can at the end there, but Hojun, he knew exactly what the final 90-degree turns would look like. Hero was so concerned about blocking Hojun that we could see Hojun identifying eventually you'll have to drift outwards and I'll just cut right in with another boost.
Right, I mean, it's so interesting to see that, you know, you would assume that going for the inner lining has to be best for your own personal speed, but actually sometimes you have to go for the outer lining because it gives you much more space to work with to utilize the boost to its full potential.
And that means Sensation gets their first win in the team matches in the round robin stage here for KDL, the Kart Rider Drift League. It did come down to an ace match, but we got to see a banger of an ace match as our first one here at the KDL, and Sensation will win 2-1.
Hojin, we talked about him earlier, how, he struggled in the groups matches and how he needs to now focus on the team matches, and that's exactly what he did. As the captain, he brought home the win.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think this is probably, it's not enough, I'm sure, for someone of his reputation, but it's just a start to his redemption, after a somewhat embarrassing knockout in the round of 32. Sure, it was a very, very tough group. He's talked about it even as the group drawings came out. But even then, a lot of people expected him to at least make it into round of 16. He failed to do that, but he says, no, I'm still here with my team. I'm not going anywhere.
Right, and they didn't even need to rely on speed yet. They're keeping him as their trump card because speed, we know he is the runner that likes to run ahead for Sensation more often than not. But it doesn't really matter for Sensation. Whoever it is that goes out, they know they have a star-studded lineup, and all the players are so good at speed mode.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the player speed because he can say my favorite line from my favorite movie, which is "I am Speed." I'm not going to say which movie it is because I don't think I can say the name of it here. But those of you who know will know. It's actually not that great of a movie, but it is fun to watch now and then. Well, yeah. I mean, they're going to have an interview over on the stage as well. I'm sure fans thrilled to get to hear from Hojin himself. But again, a mini bit of redemption here for Hojin.
For sure. I mean, after today, who could possibly tell the Emperor you're no longer good at Kart Rider Drift? It's time for the younger rookies to take over. No, Hojin still has it, and he's definitely adapted well so far to the drift.
I mean, I feel like maybe Neil. Maybe Neil can say that over at Sandbox. He looked pretty dominant over the first weekend. But we'll wait and see, right? I mean, it's still very early. And again, a lot of fans are looking forward to in Korea is we have to remember this is still just the preseason for KDL, right? The full regular season of KDL where we kick off the official league is coming up later this year.
I mean, it's already such a crazy preseason so far. It just makes you so excited, and I'm sure the players are as well. With all this time they have to constantly practice, it's only been a couple months that these players have been able to grind out these maps, and you can only imagine how much better can these players get, what kind of different metas and strategies we'll be getting as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, even if, a lot of the tracks, they might be the same in terms of actual layout from the original Kart Rider, we're talking about different, kind of karts, different top speeds, different drifts. Some techniques still work. Sometimes there's a little bit of a new nuance to what you have to do. And that's what a lot of these players have talked about is some players, they're actually adapting even better to Kart Rider Drift, whereas some players are actually starting to fall off. And now, again, as we see with a lot of different games, it's a question of adaptability. Who gets to shoot forward in these important changing times?
And somehow Neil, that man is at the peak of adaptability. We've seen just a lot of talk about the Neil builds, the meta setting things.
I mean, which he actually, performs one of the Neil builds in the actual match last week where he didn't even need to, right? He could have just still cruised on, and he had such a huge point lead. And I think he just wanted to prove a point of, like, we're just done. We're finishing this now, here and now. So I'm curious to keep eyes on Neil's career moving forward. But then, obviously, even just the players we saw today, they all have their own kind of records and reputations, some more than others. And now with KDL, it's kind of, all right, fresh new page for everyone who actually gets to take that first spot as the first winners of each season.
And I must say, although Aura, they haven't had the victory today, I feel like they're still showing up really strong right now, especially in the item modes. I feel like any time that you go up against Aura, you have to constantly be on your guard. As you said, the last second being so crucial for item modes, and Aura has shown such a phenomenal level of concentration as well as communication between each other.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that on the half pipe as well, right? The missile into the lightning just to secure first place. And with such a strong item mode showing, I mean, just a little bit more of cleanliness here on the speed mode. And even, I mean, and then you have a player like Hero who clearly was able to try to keep up, right? It's just Hojin showed a little more veterancy. So if it does go to an ace match, I think it's still anybody could take it on any given day. So Aura, nothing to be ashamed about, but obviously they've learned some hard lessons here in the speed mode today in the team match against Sensation.
Right, and now moving on to finally the ace mode we have, man, finally, we've gotten to see the ace mode play out. And honestly, I'm just so excited to see each of the modes coming out because it definitely feels like there's a different play style completely. You know, whether you have 8 players on the field or 2 players, that
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
makes such a big difference in the amount of variables. And given that this was only one match I've seen, and I've already feel like I just learned so much about the ace mode. You know, it makes you kind of think more into the linings you take. Do you take the inner one, the outer one? How do you maximize the usage of your boosts?
Yeah, and the other important thing to remember, of course, is when you're in that 1v1, you can no longer use the team boost, right? So you're
Right.
back to kind of the solo mode mentality, but then there's only one other player. So it's really about, even if you stay first, then the draft timings. Again, there's a lot of nuances that come into Kart Rider, both in the speed and item mode. And hopefully those of you who are starting to get into the game, or if you've been a big fan, you're now getting to finally see it play out here in Kart Rider Drift as we kick off the KDL.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, so far, KDL has definitely shown a lot of exciting matches coming in. And honestly, moving on to the next match, it is going to be Planet versus FINALEe-sports. And these two teams we talked about earlier having struggled so far in the KDL. However, we've only had one showing from them each.
Yeah.
So today we are going to be deciding who is the victor coming ahead. So I'm sure that is going to be a really important match for both of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Both of them taking that loss in the first weekend, so at least one of them is guaranteed to get a win, but I think that also adds a little bit more desperation to both sides, where it's like, okay, well, if we lose this, we're, really getting pushed back down now to 0-2, and there's only 8 teams, so even though we say round robin, you have a lot of chances, you got to start to consider, okay, well, eventually we'll have to play against teams like Live Sandbox and, Guangdong Freaks, and okay, maybe that's going to be harder, so we got to win some of these earlier matches to get ourselves on the board.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, you know, you don't want to ever knock anything off of a team or underrate them, but definitely when it comes to a team like Live Sandbox, their standard is just set so high that there's definitely a gap between these teams. And I hope that Planet and Finale will be able to show us that these two teams are also great and the gap is actually not that big.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, as we mentioned, it's going to be Planet versus FINALEe-sports in another team match here at the Kart Rider Drift League.